Bingies, welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. Here at the BingeWorthy podcast, we will review an entire series to let you know if you should. My name is Johnny Randolph, or you can just call me Randy, and I've got three amazing co-hosts. My first co-host is the lovely Miss Courtney Scott Wright. Courtney, say hello to the people.
Hello. hello. I like jokes.
Everybody guy here. He's Snoop from the Ville. Ricard, tell the people who you are, man.
Hello, Governor.
I love it when he does that. And the funny running out the co-host is Chuck. Man, let the people know who you are.
What's up, y'all? Let it do. Let's do this.
And we are the Binge-Worthy podcast. If you do not know, at the beginning of the show, we will rate property based on our unique binge-worthy scale. Tonight, we watched Mrs. Davis. So I'm going to call on my technical director, Rodney. Rodney, put all of the ratings on the screen to let the people know how we rated Mrs. Davis. All right, so we got what? 3 snacks in the fridge. I'm just laughing because I think it's funny. So was that 7 divided by 4? That's 1.75. So right now we're giving this a snack. The premise of Mrs. Davis is an American science fiction comedy drama and limited series created by Tara Hernandez and Damon Lindelof for Peacock. Lindelof, okay, for Peacock, and it's about a nun using her faith to take on technology. So it's an interesting premise. We're gonna start with you, Courtney. I
knew that.
What's that? I'm gonna start with you.
I said I knew you were gonna start with me.
What did you think about the pilot episode in establishing the tone of this series?
Well, I was confused by the first 5 minutes because it was really good. You know, the Middle Ages, and then you had like the battle and like the nun and the Holy Grail, and then it changed, and I was like, what happened? Where's that show? I think it was Rakai when I was talking to him. It made me feel like the Nevers in the first 10 minutes.
Lord.
He set me up with this brilliant drama of like this nun in the Middle Ages, and she's protecting the Holy Grail, and then it drops me into 2023 Vegas. Okay.
Not
so
quite
those first 5 minutes were amazing, and then it went downhill.
Okay. All right. So Rakai, I thought that this series, it had a lot of different elements. It had it was camp, it's slapstick, some sci-fi elements thrown in there, action. So how did you think that this series took all of those different elements and weaved them together to produce a product? How did you think they did, taking all those elements and tying them together?
So, is a technical term. When you go down into the bottom of a garbage can and you dump all the garbage out, and then there's this slurry kind of stuff out there, we call it garbage truck juice.
Oh God, garbage truck juice.
Yes, and that's what this was. It was. I appreciate the fact that it didn't take itself too seriously, but it seemed like for the the topic that they were taking on, it should have taken itself a little bit more seriously. I mean, especially from Damon Lindelof, of Lost fame. Um, and for those people who like
Watchmen.
Lost was good, and then it went off the rails, and then he produced a classic. He produced, Gold in the Watchmen series that was on HBO. This I don't know what the hell I was and Courtney is absolutely right. It started off hot, you know what I'm saying, with the Knights Templar and the Middle Ages, and they were protecting the Holy Grail, and I was like, okay, shit, we about to get into something. And then I had to force myself, like, it's almost like watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I had to put toothpicks in my eyelids just to make me keep watching this shit. It was torturous, really.
And yet you gave it a snack and didn't go for the hard cringe.
Well,
I was the only one that went for the hard cringe.
okay.
No, and that's only because I feel like I see where they were trying to go, and the execution was so poor. I feel like because in a lot of media today, you got a Skynet, and they've been talking about AI and all this type of shit since Terminator and the Matrix and all these other things that executed so much well. So the fact that and actually, if you look at the show as a whole, the whole concept of Mrs. Davis is highly damn near probable, because people are stupid. But it's just the execution of the show was just piss poor. I mean, polyamorous Jesus and shit, and he's
that part.
And I felt the same way.
Cook. What the?
I thought the execution was bad, and I feel like this show has an audience. I'm just not the audience, and I could see the concepts. I could see them. I just think they missed the landing. So I told you in the chat, I said I'm torn, and I was torn between cringeworthy and a snack, and it didn't quite rise to cringeworthy because I could see it. It just didn't stick the landing for me, and that's why I didn't go with the cringe.
As a matter of fact, I was torn, and it was cringeworthy all the way through, and it got a slight bit of redemption at the very end. That it slipped over, it fell over the fence into snack for me.
So Chuck, man, you rated it a snack as well. So what did you think about the overall series?
I thought it was snack worthy. First and foremost, Damon Lindelof has redeemed himself over the years. He gave us the first couple of hit seasons of Lost. When Lost was good, he was the head writer behind it. And then he turned and gave me The Leftovers. I love The Leftovers. The Leftovers is a good series for me. And then he gave me Watchmen.
Watchmen is brilliant.
I thought Watchmen was amazing as well. Outside of the movies he's done, he gave us Star Trek, the remake, the first reboot of Star Trek. He gave us the horrible film called Prometheus. That's not all him though. He's working with somebody. He gave us Star Trek Into Darkness, gave us World War Z. So I was expecting more. I think I have a cognitive dissonance of what I received. I'm like, okay, this is a guy that nailed it with Watchmen, nailed it. And I thought the introduction was cool. I thought it was great that she had the Grail. I thought this girl was in the future 2000. Somehow she drank from it or something and had everlasting life and was just happened to be in the future. Like they showed where she came from and she happened to be in the future. And then it took me down a bunch of turns and try to lean into like a campy type of feel. JQ, all the J's, everybody had a J in their name. JC is like they're all J. They're all a different form of Jesus. And I knew what they were playing with there. So I understand the symbology of a lot of things they did. Yes, the story could be true. Yes, the story is kind of true right now. It was not a good episode of Black Mirror. It was like Black Mirror with some comedies and throw the nun in there. And I just thought it was one of these things that it wasn't for me. I was not the audience. And I think they could have turned this 8-episode limited series into a 2-hour movie and it'd been perfect. 2-hour movie.
2-hour movie.
This is
I
very
would have rather sat through 2 hours than 8 hours of what I had to go through because I just was not. And I was listening to a podcast. The other co-writer, was it Tara? She was on it, and she said Damon. The last thing I think he did was Watchmen, and Watchmen had a very serious tone to it. And she said that he told her he just didn't want to be super serious anymore. Like it was hard for him going through that entire process. So he wanted to create something that had a lot more levity. And Tara has a background. She did Big Bang. She was a writer on Big Bang and Sheldon. And with them two kind of together, they were looking for something that was had a lot more levity to it and something that was a lot more lighter. And so I think that's why they chose this project. And remember, it came out during the pandemic. People wanted something good to do through the pandemic. Yeah, I see. Go ahead, Jack.
What are you talking about? What came out during the pandemic?
It was pitched and shot during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was pitched and shot. So people, like, when they're pitching and talking about it, people are dying. It's real serious. So they wanted to, in addition to like having Watchmen done his last project, he wanted to get away from stuff that was more serious. Go ahead, Chuck.
I hear that. My thing was the writing should have been on the level of Arrested Development or The League. The comedy should have been in the writing. Here it is, to have a nun that is upset most of the show at her mother and that this Miss Davis even exists. And
I think it should have come out during the pandemic. If it had come out during the pandemic, I think we all would have enjoyed it a lot more.
And I think that was more probably a timing thing. Because I know what she said when they did pitch it and everything, it was during the pandemic and, got caught up in red.
Right. But I mean, like, when you said when they shot it was still during the pandemic, I think, now that it's 2023 and I understand people have different, slates and things that are already slotted and stuff like that. But I think even if it had come out in 2022.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Chuck just talked about the writing. Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead, Chuck.
They needed a Mitchell Hurwitz or Nick Kroll in the writing room working on this and made it silly. They should have leaned all the way into that.
Maybe that would. They tried to do
them leaning out of it is like what was the last movie? It didn't hit, but it had the spirit of it. Mike Myers movie, the Pentaveret or whatever, his little series that he had on HBO or something. Yeah, so something like that, and you could tell like the humor to hear that she wrote on Big Bang and Sheldon, which are two shows that I don't really watch. I mean, I get it. I've seen episodes and okay, just not my thing. So seeing that level of humor on it, I think it's right. It did suffer from being in between. It was a tweener. And it was like, yeah, it should have been one or the other. And probably for Damon to say he didn't want to do something real serious, I could see him wanting to pull away because you have a critically acclaimed hit like Watchmen, and then they cancel it. Because I guess it was too woke or whatever the hell.
Did they cancel it? Because I thought he didn't want to do a second season.
Right. He only signed on for one season, and that was it.
No, he signed on.
Yeah, that was it.
He signed off for one season, but then when it became what it was, he was interested in doing another season. The other chick, who was a writer, she was interested in doing another season, but then he ultimately said no, because it's just like it was better to leave it where it was instead of try to go down that path again and do. It's kind of like you do Squid Game.
I'm trying to catch lightning.
Squid Games is fantastic, and it's like, okay, let's put some more money in the piggy bank. Let's write another one. It's like, shit, I didn't have but one. Like, now I'm gonna throw some shit together and give it to y'all because it's what y'all want. And you're throwing a whole lot of money at me. And he had enough integrity to say no.
So while we're talking about the writing, Courtney, you're a writer. What'd you think about the quality of the writing for this experience?
It's very interesting. For what it was, I thought that the writing was interesting. It definitely had a style to it. It just, like you guys said before, it wasn't my cup of tea. there, I don't know. I appreciate the nuns and Christianity and stuff like that, but when you get into like sacrilegion, like Jesus is hooking up with everybody who comes to his diner.
That was hilarious.
Like, I'm sorry, that was like so weird. It was like one time, like, okay, that's kind of funny, but it's like, I mean, you just made Jesus like promiscuous, and that was a little weird. But other than that, I thought it was, there were at times it was interesting and clever. It was just the moments were fleeting.
And I think they didn't lean in enough with it. I think they should have took it all the way with the whole. And I know you didn't like
Yeah.
it, but like Jesus, hooking up and making all the nuns get married, like that's hilarious to me. And I thought more of that it would have benefited for it.
The only thing I thought, oh, sorry. The last thing I was gonna say, the one thing I thought was really, really clever was the way the bowl was made.
Yeah. Chuck, what were you saying?
That's what the Catholic Church believes. Nuns are the wives of Jesus. They
right, but he
But
had
it's
dudes.
not about
He had
that.
everybody. I mean, I'm not saying Jesus couldn't be love everybody. He does, but they weren't in the church.
Yeah, and being that, so and a lot of times I don't know why people act like this, because I am actually a minister. People act like you can't watch stuff like this and it's going to hell or something like that. But this did have some sacrilegious type of stuff, and it's not, I mean, hell, I watched all of Lucifer and found that fine. So the thing about this though is just like it was, I guess, right back to, they didn't lean in. Like, you need to lean all the way in so that we know you're not super serious and this is a parody and this is some damn near, I mean, because it's like if you take Monty Python, Life of Brian, that's not sacrilegious. You take History of the World Part 1. I get it. And the shit is funny. This was,
They didn't know what they wanted to be.
no.
Right? Like, come on, are we coming in or not?
No, and there's like the weird thing where people have like near death or super intense experiences and they ended up in the bar with Jesus. And then, behind the closed door, we expected it to, really to be God. But then you go behind the closed door and it's Mary. And it's almost like, too, it's like whatever people were in the writing room who were writing this, they have some very strange and convoluted ideas about religion themselves. So,
you could tell. You could tell. And they were making fun of it because, like, I don't know, you could tell.
I don't know if they were making fun of it because, you know what I'm saying? If they were making fun of it, I for one, I thought it was very interesting, too, that they portrayed Jesus, JC, as a Middle Eastern man. Like, like most times they don't even get that close to it. I mean,
I think that's part of it. I think they leaned in to what the Catholic Church holds. She was Catholic, so her presentation of Jesus is from a Catholic perspective. Her vision of that is how Catholics, nuns are.
And that's just how much the Catholic Church reveres Mary, mother of Jesus. That's which was interesting, because it's almost like when they do stuff like that, it's almost like they take God out of it completely. It's like, we hold JC, we hold him in high esteem, we hold Mary in high esteem, but God, to get to God, you got to go through the Pope. That's the dude in that Holy Trinity, and that's some fucked up shit.
Yeah, but that's just how that religion is set.
And I thought they were making fun of it. I just think they didn't. I just thought they didn't stick the landing with it. Like, when I thought this, I thought of Dogma, right? And I like Dogma a lot. And I thought it had a good.
Dogma was brilliant.
I thought it was clever. Whereas this one, I didn't see that level of like cleverness in the writing, and so that was the problem I had.
I didn't think they were trying to make fun of it. I think this is what you all believe. This is what your religion holds as tenets. We're just going to modernize and put into a modern type of story. We're going to show you exactly what you believe on screen, and you're going to have to eat it.
Okay.
Y'all do believe your women priests, your women deacons, the ones that help guide people towards God, are all married to Jesus. You do believe that Mary is held in high esteems and guides Jesus, and we're showing you this.
And she's
Not only that, I thought it was interesting how they showed that so many of the religious folk in the show were all utilizing Mrs. Davis. Like they were all utilizing.
Because
Mrs. Davis became the religion.
Yeah.
yes,
She became the actual religion, which is basically what the Pope said.
This is the story behind American gods.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Where this is your new God.
Mhm.
And this God gives you wings. And just like those stories in Days Old, y'all created this whole new fiction around this app that was made for chicken wings that gave you wings. His job was to deliver wings
That
to
was
the table.
insane.
Really,
I was like, wow, Buffalo Wild Wings. Okay.
I took like stories that were created in the Bronze Age. Y'all done took them and created this whole religion around them and fell for it. And what you have now is the restart of that all over again.
It's the same.
I will tell you that they got me to buy some British Knights. I sure did order some.
Some British Knights.
I don't give a damn. No.
So,
British Knights were ugly when they came out, and they look even worse. It's a retro damn Patrick Ewing moon boot.
Like a British Knight.
Yes.
Man, they wouldn't sell a moon boots. I think they're just specifically for that show. They're like, here's the regular version. I don't want the regular version. I want the
Wonder who has stock in British Knights is like, yeah, we're gonna make this a product placement in this. They're gonna come back. No, sir.
I mean,
Listen, Damon Lindelof probably had some British Knights, and they're probably his favorite when he was little.
They're probably being made, but that's probably the brand that struck a deal with Yeezy. Them shits is gonna be hot next year.
and I think a lot of this show, the premise of the show was people are always going to lean into their beliefs.
and I can see that.
Always lean. That was the premise of the show. It's like, what can we show that people just lean into all their beliefs?
Yep, I can see that. So, Courtney,
Improve their beliefs.
ma'am, you're an actress. So, Betty Giplin, I think that's how it's pronounced. What did you think about her ability to carry this show as an actress?
I think she's great. I think she's a great actress. Honestly, with what she was given, she did a great job. She really did. One of my favorite roles that I saw her in was, I mean, she's been in a few things, but she did a guest star in Sherlock with Johnny Lee Miller, and she played a woman with autism, except she was, or Asperger's. She had a woman with she had Asperger's, and she was absolutely fantastic. So I really like her as an actor, and actually I think that all of the actors did a phenomenal job. It was great work was done. I just, the script just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I like Betty Gilpin. I've seen her in a few things here recently, where I liked her. She was the star. I'm pretty sure she was the star of that show Glow about women's wrestling.
The Wrestlers.
Oh,
Yeah, I never saw that.
Is that her?
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then and I remember she was in Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt.
Oh, she his wife?
Uh,
No, I think she was.
oh, I thought she was the general in the future. I don't know. I remember her being.
Oh,
in
she was his daughter? Was she his daughter?
Yeah, I think she was the daughter.
Yeah. And then she was in that movie The Hunt.
Yep. The Hunt. Yep.
Where the rich people was hunting people and shit, and she fought back, and was whooping some ass.
Okay. I didn't know that from Glow, so that's where I
Yeah,
recognize.
she's a really great actor.
Okay. So, Chuck, man, we got a little love triangle going on with between Simone with JC and Wiley. Who you rolling with? Who you think was best for her, JC or her boyfriend?
She was best for everybody.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that. I should have known you'd say that.
Mighty dog. I like JC. I like the portrayal of JC. It would be I think it was a really good portrayal of Jesus. Like, here's this guy that's by himself who just waits for people to show up to provide them with life-changing advice. And that, like, he told her, my relationships are complicated. I love everyone. And that is the theory behind JC. Like it was to go into JC theory, this was it. He feeds people, feeds everybody, and he takes care of people to the best he possibly can.
And he even gave her permission to go with Wally, to hook up with it.
Because some nuns have the ability to actually find love. They can choose to there's a certain nunnery that can allow them to do that. So he's like, you go do that if you want. I understand. I am the embodiment of love. So you can go be in love.
Okay.
But
I like to show it up in the
yeah, I think it was important I think it was important the scene where she actually took care of him. She fed him.
Where she fed him.
I thought that was important. And then the whole scene after meeting Mary, and when she had to learn that even though she's married to him and the complicated relationship that he has with the world, where Mary told her, that also you have to be able to let him go. And you know what I'm saying? Because just like you have to understand that, you see him here dead, he's died for the world, but he's also reborn in this, to basically be able to take care of everybody. So
Didn't that get preachy though? Did y'all find that preachy?
no, because the one thing is that religion is what you make it. So you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people will stop and say, I'm spiritual. I don't believe in any one particular doctrine. And then religion means, okay, I have belief in these certain principles. But really, even a lot of people who consider themselves Christian, they're not Christian. They don't know the first shit about shit. They don't know anything about anything. There's like 10 commandments. Don't kill nobody. Which that's not even true either. It's thou shalt not murder. It's not thou shalt not kill. Being a soldier is an honorable profession. Don't, dishonor your parents and shit like that. And I'm good. Don't quite work like that, but.
Chuck, you were saying something? Your mic cut out a little bit.
I was just saying, most people don't even know the 10 Commandments.
They don't.
I don't know all 10 of them.
People don't know what's in the Bible.
I know it's 10, but if you were like name all 10 for a million, I'd be like, well, don't kill, don't steal, don't murder, don't steal, don't cheat on your wife, and honor God. That's about it.
People can't even tell
Put
you
no other God before me.
Yeah, that was what I meant.
Parents do not covet that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Covet thy neighbor's wife.
Yeah.
I had to memorize them all.
I did too, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I think this was a good portrayal of old God versus new God and how they both work together and they both can
same
at the same time.
Yeah, they're the same.
I have a question for you guys, and I just want to know what you thought about this moment when Jesus told, and I know that in the Bible, like right before he was arrested, I think he told Peter that he was afraid. But he told her that he was afraid in this like really kind of like emotional way that I don't know how I felt about that. And I don't know why it possibly bothered me. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, he was afraid. Because
he told her he was afraid of not being there, not being basically like set free from like released from that like diner.
And because we've been taught all of our lives that Jesus is a superhero. We have been told that he is Superman and that he was, he could do everything and anything, and he didn't really have emotions. Like if you even look at stuff that portrayal like Passion of the Christ, and even in that brutal scene where they beat him and tortured him and stuff, he didn't come through with a whole lot of, you could portray, pain on his face, but he didn't make a sound. He didn't, we have been almost conditioned to believe that because he felt for us, he didn't have those type of human emotions, and he exactly was human.
Well, no, I think what I mean is, yes, I understand what you're saying in his portrayal in movies and television and stories and stuff like that. Even, you know, maybe interpretation. I understood the way that I understood, the way that I took it is him in the Bible telling, I think it was Peter. I'm not, but you would probably know, Rakai.
It was Simon Peter.
It was Peter? Okay. Oh, I was right. It felt like to me he was speaking about having courage through fear. And not that he wasn't actually afraid, but there was this belief underneath his faith. His faith was underneath it. Even though he was afraid, there wasn't this he knew, he was resolved. Whereas in this, it really made it seem like he was just a human man, and he was telling his wife that he was like terrified. Do you know what I mean? It was different. And maybe it was portrayed in this way of like, he's the teacher, he's the, you know, the all, you know, son of God and what have you. But I don't know why it bothered me. And it's not because I thought he was a superhero. I don't know.
I looked at
It
that.
felt like she was winning. It felt like she was there. The white woman was there to teach him. And I think that's what bothered me.
No, see, I didn't think of it as that. I thought that particular scene was him teaching her. I thought it was the other way.
Okay, maybe I need to rewatch it because I didn't get it that way.
If you look at his whole purpose, being at the diner, feeding people, when she showed back up to the diner and he, you know, broke down for that second, I felt that was him telling her, even I have a moment, you know, you're going to need to be able to push on, even though you're afraid, you don't know what to do, you know, and all that. And you actually see kind of a reflection of that in that last episode when she made her choice on what to do with Miss Davis. You know, it's kind of the same thing to me. And the other thing I thought about that too was, you know, what you tell your homeboys and what you tell your wife, or, you know what I'm saying, a woman who's close to you, two completely different things. To tell
Now
Simon
that's a
Peter,
great point. Yeah.
to tell Simon Peter one thing is one thing. You the head of my 12 disciples. I need you to go back, disseminate this information amongst the boys. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be all good. We good, my guy. You know, but then you have no idea what he told Mary Magdalene because they wouldn't let her book become canon. You know,
Fair. Okay, thank you. That was the answer that I needed.
That white woman was the hero of all of this. But go ahead, Chuck. You've been trying to jump in.
I didn't mind her. It was just that one moment. Like, I actually really enjoyed the character. I liked her, and maybe it was the actress, but so I didn't see her that way except for that one moment.
The purpose of the nun was to force humans to be on their own. Like Miss Davis wanted to destroy the Grail because it would sever the tie of Jesus to this world. Like the point of the Grail, the reason Jesus could exist in that diner is because the Grail existed, and the Sisters of the Coin were keeping it around so everybody that believed in Jesus could be tied to Jesus. So destroying that means he could walk free. He could actually
walk free.
He could walk out the restaurant. Yes, because this is how Mary kept Jesus tied to the world, was having this part of him here. She said that. And so she knew that if I destroy it, he's going to be gone. And Miss Davis wanted him to be gone because she's the new God taking over. But in her deal to be the new God taking over, she made a deal with somebody that can determine her survival or not. And I think that's when she smiled at her and said, I need you to leave too, because the nun made the decision. We don't need either one of them. We can't have Jesus. We don't really need you too, because you're going to be the new version of Jesus. People rely on you just like a religion. AI, Miss Davis. People rely on you just like a religion. They come to you for everything.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting wings.
And they did, right? And they did rely on her because as soon as she was gone, pandemonium broke out. Cars was crashing. People
the windmill stopped.
Windmill stopped. Yeah, as soon as it was gone, like people, they didn't have a leader. They didn't
lost their minds too.
Chuck,
Yeah.
you're muted.
And Miss Davis told her that.
Yeah.
Davis told her that, like, I keep that windmill going because I send people here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I keep society moving because people need purpose.
And
I provide them purpose to earn their wings. It's the same reason how people get to heaven. They have a purpose to earn their wings to get to heaven. And I provide that here on earth. And the nun had to make a decision. I can get rid of Jesus and keep her here, or I can get rid of both, and we just have to all figure it out. When religion and science are no longer there to provide purpose for us.
and they couldn't
humans have
figure
to
it out.
figure it
Yeah.
out. Humans
They couldn't figure it out. It
So
was
those first
bad.
moments are going to be chaos because humans always drive towards a purpose and a reason to exist.
I think we
And
done
our
got too.
egos make us feel like we're the only things that do exist in this world.
See, I didn't quite take it like that. I took it as Mrs. Davis removed faith from the equation. You don't have to have faith. Because AI could produce everything.
People had faith in Miss Davis, and she wanted that faith. People have trusted Miss Davis.
They trusted Miss Davis. You know what I'm saying? And even Miss Davis learned to be deceitful. Like when she told Celeste, she told Simone's mother a lie to tell her what she needed to hear.
She needed to hear.
Yeah.
People do that in
Which,
all the time. Yeah, with their
I
gods
mean,
and things all
yeah.
the time.
But I mean, she let the dad die. I mean, he was in the piano and didn't tell anybody.
Why would she? When has God told anybody when somebody else died they don't know?
Plus, like I said,
She
nobody
has a
asked her.
chance to be different.
Plus, nobody asked her.
Why we
Celeste did.
Celeste wanted Miss Davis to be different and was hoping for it.
No, she asked him about the dad, and Miss Davis told her what she wanted to hear, that he was still alive.
She asked Mrs. Davis, was Simone Elizabeth his accomplice?
But yes. And also anything to drive your motivations towards your purpose, God has never swayed people from that.
And the moment people didn't have it, they lost their damn minds. They didn't know how to drive. They were going crazy. They couldn't do basic things when it was removed. So it was like, yeah.
So the nun said, "Hey," Simone said, "Hey, we'll get rid of all of it.
Yeah,
she's got to live on her own. We got to trust our own instincts for once."
And I don't know what goes on in season 2, but we couldn't do it in the show. If we get a season 2,
they haven't announced yet if it's been.
We couldn't do it. Like basic premise, like we were out there, we were lost without something to believe in. We were lost.
No, they can't. I don't want a damn season 2. They got Indiana Jones. No.
But the whole scene is this, right? The black woman made this a Buffalo Wild Wings app.
By the way, that was the best episode.
It is the best episode because it tells so much. And she convinced her family not to use it, and they were at peace.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were already at peace.
Playing spades.
Having a regular old black people barbecue.
Yep.
Moment of
Now that was a little stereotypical that the black people having a barbecue, even though that's what we do.
I think that's how families get together. Like nothing draws families together more than barbecue anywhere in the world.
Works for me.
Not only that,
they barbecue in France.
They do. They barbecue. They barbecue everywhere.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the fact that in that particular episode that all of the family was making a big deal about the grandmother or whatever, because she was the wisdom of the family.
Yes. And what it made it even better is this lets you know. So the woman that created the AI, the Buffalo Wild Wings app, she relied on her grandmother's food to give to Lizzie, the same way Jesus fed everybody. Like, this is what reminds me. She did the same exact thing Jesus did.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was a mayonnaise and butter bologna sandwich.
Yeah. Honey butter.
Honey butter.
Yes. And my dad makes fried sandwiches. My dad
every family makes fried bologna. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
My grandmother tried to, on my dad's side, tried to make that for me and my brother and I, and we just sat there.
And
We
it's
were hungry.
not good until the bologna pops up and it's
Oh,
like a
God.
little
Oh, God.
oval in the skillet, baby. That's how you know it's good and
Oh,
it's done.
My mom makes great mayonnaise bologna sandwiches. I was like, the honey butter could have added to it. We used to
I
have
don't
butter.
like
I used
bologna.
to love
I
it.
just remember, baby, the bologna popping up right in the middle. And that's the only
Me
thing
too.
that I know that does that. Like I fry all kind of meats in the skillet, but none of them do that.
Bacon does a little bit.
You know the significance of a bologna sandwich to me now? It reminded me of when I started making too much money and I got bougie and I couldn't eat that shit no more. It's like one of those things is like, nah, bruh. This ain't.
But it's something that provides substance for people that can't afford much. And they have to rely on each other. You know?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
my mother
ramen
recently
noodles is that shit.
my
So I
mother recently told me there was a time when her and my dad were not working, probably like about 5-10 years ago, that they relied on bologna sandwiches for like 5-6 months. They didn't tell me or my brother or Randy because they didn't want to bother us about it. And we had
Aw.
plenty in the
You
back.
just told the whole world. Thanks a lot, son.
Yeah. But it lets you know how important that was and how
Yeah, absolutely.
that sandwich.
Yeah.
Even when we have nothing, we have each other. And we can have just this to live off of.
And did you all notice the scientist when she said, I knew it was too complicated, but I felt like I should still
Had to create the
yeah,
same
I had to create it.
religions. They say the same thing. I
I
know
don't
this.
understand what you mean. What part?
When she was saying I knew Buffalo Wild Wings wasn't going to accept the algorithm.
Oh,
It was too complicated. I knew it, but I just had to create it.
Yeah, it was altruistic, and all they wanted to do was, tell you that your lemon pepper rings was ready.
That's what everything, every religion does that. Is the altruism that this thing has to exist. And I put it in a place where people can take this algorithm, this genius algorithm I created, and everybody can tinker with it like Chat GPT and make it better. And
Or
knows where it came from and why it was created.
or different sections of religion, Catholicism, Baptist, Methodist, like everybody took and added to it.
It was Miss Davis in America, Mama in Italy.
Yeah, right. So it's the same thing, kind of like Christianity or Islam, right? Like, yeah.
Queen somewhere else.
The original concept was created and everybody took their own little parts and added to it. And that's what they believed in, part of it.
Before Christianity, there was religion. And before mythologies, those were religions.
Yep. All right. I think we've talked about this enough. So let's re-rate it. Rakai, I'm gonna start with you, man. How you gonna re-rate it?
Remember how I was talking about the garbage truck juice?
Yeah, I remember.
I'm gonna stay at snack, even though in my soul, in my spirit, I feel cringeworthy, but I think I'm gonna stay at a snack because it did. If you have enough insight, there were some things that could point you in the right direction, but this was just a horrible execution of a loose concept of a show.
And I feel the exact same way that you do. You said it better than I could have. So I'm gonna stick with a snack too. Chuck, I'll go with you, man. How you gonna re-rate it?
I'm the same with you all. I think it's snack word. I think the concept is it remind me of how Lost ended. Like, damn, the initial idea thought was brilliant. The execution of this was not. If it had the same comedic elements, like if it had Mitchell Hurwitz or Nick Kroll writing for it, this might have won me. It had silliness where it didn't lean into silliness or it didn't lean into anything. It was just there. It was like, It was like white people's fried chicken. Excuse my French.
That
Not
KFC
enough
dog.
Lowry's.
No.
Lowry's.
I mean, it's not even KFC. KFC told the rest of a black person and dumbed it down a little bit and added way too much salt.
She's not even allowed to be called chicken, so that's
When they were in Europe,
like it. We back to Lowry.
still, when they were in Europe frying chickens and didn't know what spices were before they met the Indians.
So you sound like Bernie Mac in Players Club. See, that was back in Europe. Didn't know nothing about no chicken.
Didn't know nothing about
Hey,
chicken.
with
They
this
was
mic.
frying meats. They throwing meats on fire, and then realized these things called herbs gave it seasoning and flavor.
Wow.
Courtney, how you gonna
Mm.
recreate it, man?
Well,
Chuck gave us a history lesson.
hilarious. Shows that I need to have explained to me are problematic for me. So I understand what you guys are saying. I disagree with the concept of the one part being wrong, but the other part being execution was just off. And I respect all of your choices. I am going to go up to a snack, but not for any of those reasons. The reason I'm going up is because I appreciate that it was not a reboot. I appreciate that it was a brand new idea that somebody tried. It didn't hit me, but it was a brand new story with new characters that didn't have capes. They weren't technically aliens, and it wasn't something that was done in 1992. So therefore, I am going to go up to a snack, but that is my reason, because I want to encourage creativity and I want the studios to continue taking chances on new ideas.
Make a new IP. All right.
Okay. All
As
right.
good as reason as any.
That gives us a snack all around the board. All right. Chuck, got anything to say before we head out, sir?
And what are we looking at? What are we doing next week?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yep.
Yes.
Now we got to see it. The last one I think premieres Wednesday, so we'll have to.
And it drops Tuesday.
Oh, it's a Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday.
It always
Okay.
drops Tuesday, right? 6 o'clock.
Okay, so Tuesday, and then
Or,
we got.
yeah, it's either 6 or 9.
I didn't even know that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're doing Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Amazon always drops their show the day before at
Well,
like 9.
Ted Lasso is Apple Plus.
Oh, sorry, Apple Plus. Apple Plus does too. Yes, Apple Plus and Amazon both drop their shows. At least Ted Lasso is always.
Okay.
I watched it yesterday.
I didn't know that.
I've never watched Ted Lasso like when it came. So okay. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it always drops.
Cool.
It's on Tuesday.
Chuck, were you saying? Got anything else?
Oh no, I'm excited for Ted Lasso next week.
Mhm.
Rakai, got anything to say before we head out, sir?
No. Glad that this show's over. Just one of those things that, like, some things you're like, okay, I saw that once. Glad I saw, kind of like when we did Swarm. I was like, okay.
How did y'all rate Swarm?
I think I gave it a full meal. I can't remember all of it. Rakai, did you pause? Did he pause?
Yeah, he paused. That I think that was his rating. That was the rating that he gave.
I think he was so traumatized by Swarm that he just shut down.
He just quit.
Because he was so traumatized, he was like Swarm, and his algorithm just shut down.
That's about right. That's about right. Swarm was tough, boy.
Yeah,
Yep. See, I got to talk about Swarm and Mrs. Davis, and my whole computer just froze up. My computer said,
algorithm.
Yeah.
Shut it all down.
Yeah.
Overload.
Nope, that was JC trying to give me a honey bologna butter sandwich shit. Nuh-uh. Get that shit out of here.
Cool. Courtney, you got anything to say before we head out, man?
Geek out and good night.
Good night. Everybody out there, thank you for watching. As I always say, the Geekish Network, we're about people of color. We got dope people. Got dope people in front of the camera, behind the camera. So please support us. Hit those likes buttons. Share us with your friends. You can view us on all the formats. I want to give a shout out to Digital Click for providing all of our marketing and promotional needs. Shouts out to Rodney for being a kick-ass technical director. We appreciate you, brother. And as my co-host said, tune back in next week when we're going to be reviewing Ted Lasso. You won't want to miss that. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.